Now introducing the Minor Wisdom Trio!
Minor Wisdom!
This week, I've got Melissa Stuhff. Melissa Stuhff. She's got an H in there somewhere. Stuhff. Stuhff. But I've got Melissa on. She was one of the co-chairs. Yes, there's a theme of the last couple weeks. Last week I had Beth Bobble on, and this week Melissa. And we recorded these at our little table in the corner in the exhibit hall Expo C of TXCTA. So you're going to hear some weird background noises and stuff like that. And I don't think we were interrupted nearly as much as Beth and I were interrupted. We had a little bit of that, but I might keep some of those in so that you can hear the real, the real raw end of being a co-chair for the exhibits. There's not a lot of fascinating stuff. But anyway, not too much to talk about this week. This is going to be a short intro. We do have our Halloween decorations up. Also, a little bit of a happy Yom Kippur to everybody. Chag Sameach. No, that's Passover. But anyway, yeah, Yom Kippur is this week. As I record this, it is October 1st. It is chilly in the morning, and not chilly during the day, but 80s where I am, and it's just so nice outside. We had a production meeting for Beauty and the Beast yesterday outside. Yeah, it was really nice. Yeah. Anyway, not too much to talk about, like I said, so we're just going to roll on into it. This is not a long interview. I have noticed when I'm in person recording an interview, there's something, I guess we just get through information faster, so the interviews are shorter. I don't really know, or maybe it's just all in my head. But make sure you follow me on the Twitter. I've seen lots of people friend me on Facebook. Feel free to keep doing that. Also, leave a review maybe. The shirt website, which I have put in the description, it is still active. Somebody bought a shirt this week. It's so cool. It was kind of nice. So if you want to still buy a shirt, there aren't just Minor Wisdom shirts. There are shirts on there. One was designed by my daughter. You can probably tell which one. And then just a handful of fun theater shirts as well. So feel free to go there. But yeah, that's about it. I hope everybody had a great week. Hope everybody has a great start to October 1st. It is officially, I know end of August starts, pumpkin spice stuff, but it is officially pumpkin spice season now, soon to be peppermint season, and it's all because of Starbucks. Hope you guys enjoy this chat with Melissa. She's a wonderful person, much different than Beth was last week. Not type of person. They're actually rather similar, and they'll tell you that. But Beth teaches at small school. Melissa teaches at big school. So a little bit different perspective. Also unique side of things because you'll hear Melissa's story, which affects some of how she just kind of lives her daily life, if you will. So that is interesting. So enough about that. Enjoy this week's episode with Melissa Stuhff.
So I actually got into education, or wanted to be a teacher before I wanted to be a theater teacher. I wanted to be a band director because I moved from Nevada, and from an incredible program to a program where they were okay with being okay. And I saw quickly the difference between what a great teacher could do and what an okay teacher could do. And I wanted to be a great teacher. And I wanted to be that for students because I was a student that started struggling when I moved here. So life went on, went to college, started out as a music ed major, came down with Bell's palsy, saw junior year, and ended up having to quit everything that was very stressful. And so I immediately quit piano because I hated it. And I had just started taking my minor classes, which were my theater classes, because even though they told me I could only be a music education major, I said, but I will have a theater minor, period. I wanted to teach both. And so when the doctor said you have to quit everything that stresses you out, I wanted to quit everything except my theater classes. And that was kind of a good clue for me to be like, oh, wait, maybe I do love one of these things more than the other. And so I changed my major, and my mother was very kind to not panic that I was adding on to an already 5-year degree plan. And then I graduated in 2008 when no one was hiring.
Yeah.
Which was scary. And so, I spent a couple of years, and then I was very lucky to have 2 people mention my name to the former fine arts director in Belton in the same day.
Okay.
And so I got a phone call and I interviewed. I got fired from my bank teller job for not coming to work. And then they hired me, and I've been in Belton ever since.
Okay, so I'm gonna move this a little bit so here's me too, but
Okay.
because it's all about me. You quickly said you played piano, or you quit playing piano. So was that your
No, so
what
I
was
was
your gateway instrument?
my gateway instrument was flute and piccolo,
Okay.
which I picked up really easy. And then as an adult in college, tried to learn piano, and it was so hard for me. And I wasn't used to struggling with music.
Why'd you switch?
Well, you have to take piano and do a
okay.
piano proficiency.
Is that part of like the theory element?
Yes,
of-
yeah.
okay.
Yep, you have to be able to play, a bunch of basic stuff.
Okay.
And my hands don't cooperate doing different things for whatever reason on piano.
But piccolo's not easy.
No,
Yeah.
but I think because I started learning really young, right? When you learn something like languages, music's the same way. If you learn young, it's a lot easier.
Right.
So, and I had played since end of my 5th grade year, and so it was just easier to pick up.
I literally just had a conversation with the band director at my school about she is a piccolo player and how if you're a piccolo player you can pick up other things, but going the opposite direction is difficult. So
Yes.
like, if you're a flute player, you can be the most badass flute player, but piccolo's going to be a little more difficult.
Yeah. Well, it takes more air to play the piccolo than it does to play the tuba, because half of that air is just gone.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Learning
The-
new things.
The more you know. So I didn't know this about Bell's palsy. How does that affect you now?
When I get really tired, my face gets droopy
Okay.
still. So my kids know.
Do you feel it? Do you know?
A little bit,
It's a nerve
and
thing.
and I've got some really interesting tricks. Like when I go to the dentist and they numb my face, I can still talk clearly because I got used to talking without feeling my face.
Yeah.
So it really freaks out all of my dental
Could you be a
assistants.
ventriloquist?
No, I'm not that good. I wish. I wish I could add that to my resume.
Come see me next year at
Right.
TXETA at my
I'll be in
ventriloquism
booth 42, teaching you how to come down with Bell's palsy and become a ventriloquist.
So the only thing I know about Bell's palsy, right now it's topical a little bit because of Justin Bieber. He doesn't have Bell's palsy. He has like a form of it.
Okay.
Have you seen this?
No.
That's why he had to cancel so many concerts. Or his whole tour actually ended up canceling the whole thing because half his face is just.
See, and that's
paralyzed.
exactly what I had.
Yeah, but he had said it's like a form of Bell's palsy. I don't know what he had a whole video.
Okay.
Anyway, this doesn't need to be about JB, but beans. But okay, it's just fascinating. I didn't know
Yeah.
that about you.
Well, and I woke up one morning. Thankfully I was home, and my face felt weird when I put my contacts in.
Yeah.
And then we had just in an acting class talked about how roles can affect people like in real life.
Yeah.
And someone was talking about Dr. Green. This is early 2000s, Dr. Green,
Yeah.
and how he knew he had a brain tumor because he couldn't stick his tongue out straight.
Yeah.
And how someone in real life figured out they needed to go to the doctor because they couldn't stick their tongue out straight. And I couldn't stick my tongue out straight, so I thought I had a brain tumor. It was fun for a couple hours.
What's up? Oh. Okay. Well, that's crazy. My mother had multiple sclerosis, so like,
Yeah.
For lack of better terms, it's Bell's palsy of the legs for her. So I get the nerve thing, and my dad had Parkinson's, so like nerve-related illnesses. I don't know if you'd call that an illness or not, but it's, nerve-related things.
Yeah.
That's even worse than illnesses. That always fascinates me. I'm always curious about that stuff. So.
Yeah. Well, and they still don't know exactly what causes it because it happens to
Right.
college students, old people, and pregnant women mostly, and people who sleep with fans close to their bed, like their face. There's a higher instance because they think somehow whatever it is, the like virus that causes it
Really?
can.
That's so weird.
So I don't sleep with a fan by my face anymore. So watch out
Do you
if
put
that's
it
a
at-
thing you do.
Do you put it at, like, your feet?
Yes.
Okay. So, are you worried that, like, you're gonna go numb and you're like, that's so weird, fans?
Yeah, that's what my doctor told me. So I don't sleep with a fan by my face anymore.
Right. Is your doctor in, like, a street alley?
I mean, now he was a
doctor,
like
right?
small
It's not
town.
Dr. Ivans, right?
No, it was not Dr. Ivans. Doc might have known more than the small town ER doctor.
I make jokes. but
That's
I
not
know
me.
it's serious. So the stress thing, is that still a thing you have to deal with?
Yeah, so sometimes when I do get really stressed out, I'll have a spot in my forehead that hurts, or just really tired, and my eye will start to get droopy, and my contact will dry out faster. Yeah.
So you got to tap out. You know when it's time for bed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it would take like a week of not enough sleep for it to get really, really, really bad.
Right.
But I can tell when I'm starting to get really tired. If it's been tech week, my
Yeah.
forehead just hurts all week.
Do your students know?
Yeah.
Do they tell you, like, famous stuff, like, are you okay?
Well,
They
it's
worry
not,
about
I
you?
mean, it's not so drastic that they're like, we have to take care of you right
Yeah.
now, but they'll just be like, oh, you're
Yeah.
tired.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah, I am,
Yeah.
guys.
They're always so honest.
I know. And it's out of concern and it's sweet, but sometimes I'm like, thanks.
Have you ever had a student, not necessarily with Bell's palsy, but have you ever had a student find out they have something and you kind of are able to say, I've dealt with this, let's talk?
Yeah, I mean, it's really nice. I had a student who was a dancer as well, and she had some sort of nerve damage in a foot for a while and had to stop, because I also had to stop playing my flute. I couldn't obviously play it. And so that time to just really figure out how to take care of yourself while not doing the thing that you love. And so just being able to to sit and talk with her and talk about how you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
It will get better. They told you it's not permanent right now. It really sucks, but it'll get
Yeah.
better. So
Yeah, I can imagine you have more empathy towards
Yeah.
that type of thing. Well, good. So, how long have you been a teacher now, and a theater teacher?
So I'm starting year 12.
Okay.
Year 12.
Same place.
Same district.
Same
so
district, right,
6
right.
years middle school, and then when the high school director was leaving, I didn't want someone crazy to take over.
Had you always wanted to go to middle school, or to high school? I mean.
Not necessarily. I love middle school.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved middle school.
Why?
The kids are really
Is there
fun.
a lot of high school teachers that are like,
I
you
know.
must be crazy?
I don't know. They're a little. I'm okay with chaos.
Yeah.
And middle schoolers can get really excited
Yeah.
about things. And I think the other thing that I love is when people would come see our shows and say, I can't believe middle schoolers did that.
Right.
Like,
Right.
you have 12-year-olds up there, 11-year-olds.
It's a little more like of an achievement.
Yes. And my kids ran shows. I made it a point to point out to parents and everyone else that, like, I'm about to go sit in the back of the
Right.
cafetorium.
Right.
They are running the show. This is all them.
That's awesome.
And it was really fun for people to be like, how did you do that?
Right.
Well, I
What was that
taught
like to
them.
have a 7-year kid? Because I'm assuming you had a few that. just
Yes.
moved
So
on
I
to
had,
the-
I had one that stayed with me the entire time. And he graduated year before last, and we both cried really hard.
Yeah. I mean, they become your kid.
Yes.
Like your literal kid, pretty much.
Yes, very much so. And it was fun because he was also, his senior year, he was prom king and homecoming king and was like Mr. Cool. But in my classroom, he was just himself. So, like, we got to see both sides of him. And I love those kids that feel like they can just,
Was he,
you know.
Was he your only full 7-year kid?
he was my only full 7-year kid, but the year that I moved to the high school, the seniors had been my first set of 6th graders ever.
Got it.
So I got them as 6th graders and then again as seniors, which was really fun. Yeah. So it was cool to get to work with them at the end. Now one of them just started his first year teaching theater as a tech director this year.
That's fun.
So yeah, I'm very excited.
So that I just asked my former theater teacher. I had him on weeks ago about what it is that gives him, like, warms his heart, and he said, when my former students become teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Would you? I mean, is that? You kind of agree with that?
I kind of cried his first day of school because he sent a text message to myself and Mel Edwards.
Yeah.
And I was like, I had just put on mascara and I had to text him back and tell him how mad I was because it's just really exciting to see him, like, continuing that tradition, and the thought that, like, holy crap, I did this thing and now you want to do this thing too. It's really a huge honor.
Right. Where do you go to school?
So I'm sorry.
Where did he go to school?
He he went to up in Denton.
Oh, okay.
So
UNT?
UNT,
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. They're not. I just realized they're not here. Anyway.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who aren't here that I like. Texas State either.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, good for you. So, speaking about theater, what is the most fulfilling show you've ever done?
This is hard. Okay. This is the right music for me to think to. The most fulfilling show. I did a bonkers middle school show called Circus Olympus.
Okay.
And it's basically take circus and Greek gods and Greek stories and put it together. And on my little cafetorium, I had 65 kids. And that was right before I moved to the high school. And it was really cool to think that, like, the first year that I taught, my very first year teaching, I had 12 kids in my one act cast. Half of them failed the week before one act. And I had to teach two computer classes as well. And that we had taken that program and grown it so much that I was able to figure out how to put 65 kids on a cafetorium stage.
Right.
And all of them feel amazing afterwards.
What is that like to have to literally transform a space into your theater instead of just walking into a theater?
So I was really lucky that we had these super cool tables that turned into benches and you could turn them. I made my kids do all of the work because why do I need the 3 janitors to do it, right? Like, I've got 60 kids that can quickly turn all the benches. So we did a lot of that work. So it was nice. It was often a challenge because if we had to rehearse during the day, like, there's so much extra noise, but my kids learned how to project over it. So
Yeah, that's good.
our little, they definitely called it the theateria, right? It was not the cafetorium, it was the theateria. And so you had to be really creative because, you know, it's a little box. I was lucky enough to have curtains. A lot of people don't. But you have to really stretch your creativity. There were definitely some times when we would just close the curtain and build stuff on stage because somehow we weren't supposed to build but still have sets. So my middle schoolers did a lot of that stuff. There was nothing that I was like, oh, you can't do this. I may or may not have rigged a giant circus tent made out of plastic tablecloths that was hanging from a random I-beam.
Yeah, statute of limitations now, so you can
Yeah.
talk about it.
So I definitely did not break rules and have kids hold on to a ladder stacked on top of it.
This is for an on-campus play, not or show, not one-act play, not a middle school.
Yeah, this is for on campus.
Yeah.
And so Circus Olympus, we made a giant circus tent that we hung from an I-beam and a hula hoop. So, you know, you got to get creative.
Yeah. Are you grateful that you did the middle school track before you did the high school track?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's easier. The schedule is so much easier, right? the pressure was less to figure out how, especially at the very beginning.
Yeah.
My principal was really great that our first year we did one act.
Right.
And like I said, I had half my cast fail because I was a first year teacher and I didn't even think to check on that. And so we ended up we do a middle school UIL festival instead of regular.
Right.
And so Casey Jones, who was the director at the high school at the time, I called him and I said,
not the guy from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
no, not that
Okay,
Casey
okay,
Jones.
okay, different Casey Jones.
The baseball, the train, the base,
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
But he was like, okay. I said, but we said we were going to compete. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And so he handed me a copy of The Diary of Adam and Eve. And we had 3 rehearsals. And like we called and got everything done really fast. And we did it Reader's Theater style. And one of our like all-star actors who played the dodo bird in The Diary of Adam and Eve he graduated from Oklahoma City University and is a like working professional actor. And it all started with the dodo bird.
I'm glad to hear you didn't peak as the dodo bird
Yeah.
in middle school.
Yeah. I mean, there are some that do, but he just kept
You just kept
going.
soaring
Yeah.
like a bird.
So-
What are some things, or maybe a thing or some things, whatever, that you experienced in middle school one-act play that you would love to carry over into UIL high school one-act play? Is there anything?
Yes.
Okay.
So we do a festival, and there's one reason why we do a festival, and that's play selection.
Okay.
Because basically when they started, our fine arts director said, I trust you to select plays that are going to be educational for your students. And so there were years, especially when we were first starting and building that program, that I was able to do, just some really fun stuff with my kids, or do vignette plays, because for middle schoolers, that is a great entry.
Yep.
Thank you. Well, she even got Doc's signature.
Using that new temple.
Right? I know. Look how I look so official.
Oh, it does look good. Anyway.
It looks like I'm supposed to be taking paper.
So anyway, carrying over the festival or the play selection.
Yeah, I feel like we should be trusted to be able to, because what is considered appropriate, and I'm talking like not just for content appropriate, but also like what is considered appropriate for like how quote unquote educational something is very different depending on schools. And especially at the middle school level, I've had friends that really struggle to get stuff approved.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Yeah. Well, especially because now you sign a community standards that says
Right.
we, the principals, administrators, whatever, approve our director doing this.
Yeah.
But why not just let them do something?
And so, at the high school levels, it's hard because you send something and then it's just waiting and waiting and waiting.
Yeah.
And you never know, and so you can't move ahead. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I understand that they don't. I understand that they want to make sure that what we're doing is educationally significant, but the Happy Scarecrow is on that list.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, speaking of somebody, no, I'm just kidding. I've never done it. Yeah, you're right. It's, but the argument, I guess, to play devil's advocate to that is that you could say now it's creating levels of, okay, this school can now do a show that they know their kids can do, and hopefully it's a building block. It's kind of like the the Tommy Tunes. I almost said stupid Tommy Tunes.
Don't do that.
I wouldn't say stupid Tommy Tunes ever, but it's kind of like that where they've started to try to tier so that some of the schools that can't afford big musicals, things like that. So maybe UIL has that. I would say that because I have my opinions on design when I play, not design when I play, design UIL design. Good things, progressive things, not like this is stupid and dumb, but
Right.
It's. I mean, I could see because of the building of the community standards. Yeah, take it. Yeah, I just think that makes sense. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else? What is there anything else from that experience? You were quick to answer with that one. You
I was.
You had that one. Ready.
It's the whole reason why we still do a festival.
So you still do?
It is still
middle school
just
or high school?
a middle school
Okay,
festival.
okay.
No, we do real UI, quote unquote real
Well, yeah.
UIL, and I am essentially the contest manager for the middle school now,
Right.
and we follow every other rule to get those kids prepared.
You just sorry to cut you off. You just gave me. We should not to say we should get rid of clinics, but why not do like a late February high school festival that has no feedback. There's no
Just fun.
just to be able to perform your show without the pressures of the rules, but also so that you can do your show.
Right.
Because a lot of us don't do our show for an audience until we're competing.
Yeah.
And I know some people do their community show before that. I get it, but not everybody. But if you created this,
Right?
cogwheels spinning,
So the kids can perform for each other, because I think
yeah, and there's no pressure.
I don't love one act play because of the idea of competitive theater,
Right.
but I love one act play because Texas theater
Yeah.
is where it is because of one act.
Right.
So I recognize why it's significant.
Yep.
But at the same time, and my favorite part is my kids watching other kids perform.
Yep.
And my kids being able to say, I really loved when so-and-so did such and such, and was able to, and watching them be able to give legitimate critiques.
It teaches them,
So-
how to be constructively critical of,
Right.
of their craft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is one of our most important jobs, I think.
Where, what are some things that you do on your campus that you wish you could do with One Act Play? And I know there are lots of answers to that. Like, I wish I could have 172 specials, and I wish I could, have a surround sound. I wish I could be backstage or things like that. Which I know there are lots of people that have an opinion about if a coach can sit on the sidelines and yell at their players what to do next, or how to, what play to run, or
Yeah.
why can't a director be backstage to not necessarily assist, but to, if like something goes wrong, it is all up to our kids.
Well, and see, I think that's a strength of theater.
It is. I
Yeah.
totally understand that, but it's the higher common denominator. It's not. It's
Yes.
It's not the lowest common denominator element where if a school does struggle, like if there is a school, like you said earlier, the first year you were in middle school, that was like they were competing, or not competing, but the festival. But like you still put your hands up, and it was like it's in your hands, but it's new to them. For freaking Natasha Tolson, or somebody that's built a program and has a 30-year run.
Yeah.
I totally understand that, but also equitable. She has to be able to do what we do. But if you're like a new director and you are with your new kids that have never done this before, it's a new school. There are lots of new high schools being built all the
Yes.
time, all over the place, and those kids just don't know. Well, sucks to suck.
Yeah. So things,
And I don't want you to get in trouble, so don't,
yeah.
think about your words.
As much fun as figuring out how to do a 7-minute setup is, sometimes I wish we had a little bit more time.
Sure.
Because that's bananas. I did a realistic set for the first time in 2021, and we did proof, right? A lot of people did small cast. I triple cast it, but it was the first time that I did realism,
Sure.
and so learning how to set that up. And then last year we did Sweet Surrender, and that's a big set to do with realism. And so having a little bit more time would have been nice, because we were learning how to do that. That is a skill,
Right.
that setup, and how to build in order to be able to set
Right.
up quickly.
Also, now that rules are getting a little more reasonable and relaxed,
Yeah.
You are able to do a little bit more than you were 20 years ago,
Yeah.
10 years ago even. And so, but the one thing that hasn't changed is you still only have 7 minutes.
Right.
But you can do more realistic things. You can almost have, well, people do completely negate the gray, if you will.
Yes.
They use it, but they cover it or they do manipulate it in some way but you still only have 7 minutes. Whereas that 7 minutes was initially given to you because really you were only at first supposed to use the set that was given to you.
Right.
So I get that.
Yeah. And I mean,
Sounds like you need to be on a committee. Anyway, what is your what's a musical that you want to do that you don't think you ever will be able to do? And I know now. Well, can we say what you're doing next year?
yeah.
Are you allowed to?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't know
I mean,
if you had a reveal for your
No.
kids.
Our kids know. Our kids have known since May.
Okay.
I mean, it's been announced since May.
So doing You're in Town.
So we're doing You're in Town.
Is that a musical that you thought you would never be able to do?
No.
Okay.
Now, myself and the choir director, because we direct together. I'm really lucky. Like, we have a great team. We have our band director helps. We have a live orchestra, which is really cool, because that's a whole separate skill to learn how to do for our kids, and that's fun. So we've known, we picked it, and You're in Town is just such a fantastic show and a fantastic story, and I love all the different genres of music, and I get to talk to my kids about all this different theater history, and so we almost didn't get to do it because of the title. And so, but Tanya and I, who work together, have been waiting. We wanted to be able to do it, but we knew that because of the title, we had to wait until we had some credibility in the district.
Right.
So it's year 6 for both of us at the high school.
So did
so
you
we went
do
for
like
it.
a presentation on it? Did you have to was it just a kind of an email like back and forth type of thing or phone conversation?
I had to have a meeting with my principal and who is very
Did you
supportive.
have to prep I'm saying did you because some people go into it like it's a business meeting and they have a
Right.
PowerPoint and they say
We didn't do a PowerPoint.
Okay.
We did have like a list of this is why we want to do this show. This is how we're going to market it. That was the big
So
thing.
you came in with ammo, if you will.
Oh yes.
Okay.
And and I have the best principal in the state. I will, hands down, just really incredibly supportive. I mean, even if I wanted to go somewhere else, I couldn't, because you can't give up an administration like I have.
100% agree. Can't speak to that enough.
And so they, they were really supportive. And this is from above them. It's a big district. The superintendent hasn't been there as long. He actually came in the week before we shut down for COVID. That was his first week.
Wow.
So, he's still learning us and who we are and where our like standards or whatever lie. And so, I mean, I understand, and he just wants to keep us from getting into the crosshairs of people who are upset.
Right.
And so, but we've got some plans for marketing. What exactly they
Just
are?
a huge penis urinating on the city.
Yes, exactly. No. Nope.
Wait, what? That's not.
I mean,
yeah. That's
yeah.
fun. So I'm going to go back to the original one then.
Okay.
The original question: is there a show that you think that you would love to do, but you don't know if you? Now this though kind of opens your brain up to thinking, okay, what else could I kind of try to sell that might not be something that I thought of before they allowed me to do this?
Right.
But is there a show that you don't know if you'll ever be able to get to do? And not saying in this community, just overall as an educator, that you just, and don't say like, I mean, Book of Mormon,
Obviously.
like, Avenue Q,
So-
although HSBVA did Avenue Q, so.
Well, there's that awful high school
Yeah,
version
there's the high
of it.
school version of it. Yeah.
So, I love Putnam County, but it's too small. I can't.
Okay.
Any of those great little
would not have
small
thought that,
musicals. We can't do small musicals
Right.
because we want kids to be involved.
Right.
And I don't want. My one act is where we are super, super choosy, and that's who I am as a director, right? But my fall show that's open to the whole school, and my musical that's open to the whole school, we do everything we can to put as many kids on stage. I mean, we don't put everyone,
Right.
but we did Adams and had, I don't know,
A million
30
ancestors.
ancestors.
Yeah.
and we were only going to have 10 at first, and then we watched them, and it ended up so much fun.
Did you let them create their ancestor?
We were really lucky that we were able to borrow some costumes from Natasha Tollison.
Oh, okay.
And she just let us borrow them. It's kind of where I got.
Yeah.
I have followed that, and so I loan a lot of things.
That's one thing we're doing right now with Beauty and the Beast is we have quite a few during Be Our Guest, or not Be Our Guest, during the opening scene. Oh my God, during Belle. I think the song is called Belle. We're letting kids kind of give some input into. What are you selling? Are you selling pretzels?
Right.
What kind of vendor are you? Different things like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to be creative like that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I'm doing Peter and the Starcatcher right now, and so
Never heard
all
of
of my all of my like sailors and seamen are all like having to pick who they are, and I'm not a singer. You heard me sing yesterday. I am not a singer.
Wasn't that bad?
And so when I did musicals, I was always in the chorus, and I had so much fun, like deciding who I was and who I was friends with, and and so I always tell my chorus kids, like, you have to know who you are, because your adult is coming to watch you.
Yeah.
Don't ever think that because you don't have a big old fancy role, your adult's coming for you. So someone will always be watching you.
Yeah.
Minor wisdom.